First stop is North Camden, an area known for its high crime and drug activity. I visited a park with beautiful baseball fields and new playground equipment, and I met Bryan Morton, a lifelong Camden resident. Lots of people use this beautiful park, but it wasn't always this way. So Bryan, tell me, what did this used to be?
So what this used to be was the last place that I would ever consider inviting you to.
Oh, really?
Really, really. You would come to this park, and if it was the summertime, you would not even be able to get out of this park because there would be lines of vehicles parked just looking to purchase alcohol, drugs, or to engage in gambling activities that took place here. Dirt bikes would be racing up and down, you know, what should have been a field. And that's what was here.
Oh my gosh, what a difference. The park is the result of a $4 million project funded by Camden County and the state. It all started with Bryan when he founded the North Camden Little League. He worked with hundreds of Camden parents who just wanted to give their kids a place to play.
The first step was getting the community reconnected to active lifestyles, and in that capacity it was playing baseball. So literally saying, hey, let's come outside and play baseball at a very small park not too far from here. And then the next year more people wanted to play, so we came here and we sort of began to work out negotiated times when that activity couldn't happen because we were going to be here. Okay, so wait, you were negotiating with the crap shooters? We were negotiating with the dealers and the users. Really? Yeah, we were. You know, there are incidences that are littered in the press where one community member might have tried to take a stand and his or her house might have been burned down, or there was a retaliation. You know, make no mistakes, we were having an impact on people's lifestyles, you know, when we were shutting down, you know, or asking them not to be here. With that in mind, we just set out to do. And we've been able to continue to grow. So where we were hoping to get 60 kids in our first year, this year we had over 500 players, 28 teams. We reintroduced softball for young ladies for the first time in over 20 years. Clearly the parents wanted that for you to have such an increase in members. That's incredible. Yes. And it isn't just baseball, it's baseball and Bryan that made this happen. Well, it's baseball and belief, and Bryan's somewhere in there. You know, I get to be the front man, but there's a lot of stuff happening in the background. There are a lot of families that are entrusting, you know, myself and the coaches with the most precious commodity out there, you know, their children. There are a lot of individuals in the community that wanted to get involved, but because there was no outlet, you know, they just sat back, we locked ourselves behind our doors, and so other people had run of the neighborhood. So they wanted it all along. There just wasn't, I guess, somebody crazy enough to say, hey, let's do it. Yeah, and you did. Yeah. Growing, we came here and we were able to continue partnering with the Metro, and then bring in some other really key partnerships with the city, with other politicians that were able to, and I've learned this term, you have to justify expenditures. You know, so where we may be able to say, hey, parks are great, unless there's really a great thing happening in them, oftentimes we cannot, you know, see monies being directed. And so because of baseball, they were able to say there is a need and there is a reason, and so that's why we're able to sit here without fear. I feel totally comfortable, you know, inviting you out to watch a game as much as I would for this interview, and even more so, you know, to say, hey, let's have a play date with our kids. And those are realities that weren't here before. Right. This is your neighborhood, it always has been, you grew up here. Yes. So what was it like growing up here? Growing up, it was a really diverse neighborhood. It was a bustling community. There were businesses here, there were homeowners here. And then when I got to about my teenage years, it just suddenly began to change. That's when, as a child, you know, you heard of Campbell's Soup closing and the prison being built. That's where we began to see, as jobs dried up, drug dealing became a regular part of the community, and then households really began to fall into peril and crises and disintegrate. Having lived in a neighborhood and having felt that, you know, I've always wanted to kind of selfishly recapture it and then pass it on to others. So Bryan, every time I see you, you have a tie on. Yep. Why do you always wear a tie? So it's a personal joke. It's so that. It's a joke? Yeah, it's a joke. So you can tell who the good guy is. When you look at news stories and when you look at the movies, Yeah. It's the black male wearing baggy pants and wearing a hoodie. Yeah. I am not that person.
Yeah,
and
you are not.
When the kids look up and when they see me, and I'll run around this field, you know, in this. Yeah. Because this is my uniform. Yeah. And this should be the uniform that they seek. We should always seek to be about our business. Mm-hmm. You know, in the same way, you know, we used to, in our neighborhoods, be proud and exhibit that pride in how we carried ourselves. Mm-hmm. That's why I always have a tie. You know, I'm about my business and everybody around me should be about theirs. Mm-hmm. And we're sending a clear message to who we are and who we aren't.
Your life story is incredible.
So thank you.
How? Why do you think it turned out this way?
So many times you can get caught up in saying, you know, if I had had this opportunity, my life would have been so much different, or I could have done so much more. But I believe that, you know, we're ultimately shaped by our experiences. And if we look for the lessons in them, the value in them, we're going to land in a good place. And so I could not speak to my community if I had not been through what my community had been through. To go out and speak to the fears of a parent, but also to say to a drug dealer or a user, hey, you know, it's really not okay that you're here. Yeah. You know, you ask for so much respect in the lifestyle that you live. Are you willing to give a little bit, you know, to someone that's not trying to take anything from you?
So a little while ago, we were standing on the sidewalk and a school bus went by, and it was like you were a rock star because all of the kids were hanging out the window. They wanted to shake your hand. They wanted to say hi. What is that?
So there's nothing cooler than being coach. By showing up every day on the fields, rain or shine, putting in the work, the children got to see that they were important. Yeah. Our children are opening up. Our children are laughing, our children are smiling, and our children are being respectful. And that's very different than the images that are often being put out in the media, and it's very different than oftentimes how we interacted with one another. And that was reflected in how often we murdered each other. 2 of the public schools here in the neighborhood use the park now for after-school activities. So there's regular soccer occurring, baseball activities, flag football activities that are part of the after-school activities for kids, which is great because those weren't available. Those were not options that were available in the neighborhood. And during the day, you'll even see the daycares bringing their children to the park. So what you see happening is a continuation of what started with baseball. Yeah. And that's that the kids and the parents and the community have an opportunity once again to come outside and take part in the place that they live.
And this is a beautiful place to come.
It is.
It's beautiful.
It is. Can we set a play date?
Sure. Bryan is living proof that positive change is happening in Camden. People like Bryan are standing up and trying to make Camden better. Their efforts are being helped by the Metro Police Force, which replaced the city's entire force in 2011.